Welcome to Murphy in the Morning. Time to relax in the good company of Bill Murphy and today's special guests, Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, and Davy Jones. Hey, they're the Monkees. Now here's your host, Bill Murphy.
All right, thanks, Roger. Nice tie, huh? Good morning, all. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of Murphy in the Morning, 21 July 1987. We are very happy you're with us today for what I think is going to be a very, very special show. Do you believe in magic? I mean, the real stuff? I do, and I think it's wonderful when it happens. All right, kids, take out your notepads. It's time for a brief history lesson now. It was almost 21 years ago, a Monday evening, the 12th of September, 1966. What happened is this. NBC decided to try a new show against a big hit by the name of Gilligan's Island, which is still this program's producer's favorite show. Well, as you probably have guessed, the name of the new show was The Monkees. And like everybody and his brother always says, the rest is linguini. The Monkees took the country by storm, and when all was said and done, they were superstars. Well, the Monkees are in town for two big concerts at beautiful Ruth Eckerd Hall tonight. Tell you more about that later on. But we want you to know that we are delighted to have them with us in studio this morning. But before we get to that, Edna, honey, you here? I love that woman. That sound, if it was louder, it'd be a lot funnier. That sound can only mean one thing. It is time for everyone's favorite feature, kind of like a quiz show. You bet, oh boy, some swell and near swell prizes for the person who answers our question correctly. Now, in honor of today's guests, the category is The Monkees. It's a theme show, get it? And we're talking about one of their many hit records, a great audience, as in top 40 singles, okay? I love these guys. Now, as I said, they had a slew of top 40 singles, but to my knowledge, only one of them had a title that was a woman's name. Do not yell it out or you'll be shot. And that is our question for you today. Take a look. Which Monkees top 40 hit had a woman's name as the title? If you think you know, give us a call, and here is what you'll win: your own Murphy in the Morning bumper sticker, ooh, and your own Murphy in the Morning, what do we call these? Murphy mugs for hot and cold. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a high-budget program. You'll get a coupon for a free bottle of Murphy's Oil Soap, one of the great wonders of the Western world. From our friends at Enzo's in Newport Richie. You didn't know what kind of a class operation this was. Dinner for two at Enzo's, Italian food that'll make you crazy. The current issue of Tampa Bay Magazine with a picture of my favorite guy on it. If you can't find them in the newsstands, I've bought them all. I'm sending them to my teachers and to bosses who have fired me. And last but not least, we have an autographed copy of The Monkees. This is Then and Now, the best of the Monkees. They autographed these, but 5 minutes ago, the ink is still wet. So give us a call quickly now because, I beg your pardon? Oh, thank you. That's why you're the producer of this program. What about the tickets? You will also get tickets for what, two? Two. Tickets for two to either concert? We had to rehearse these shows, you know? Tickets for two to the 6 o'clock show at Ruth Eckerd Hall. What you'll have to do is you go to Will Call, and the tickets will be waiting for you. Talk about some prizes. All right, now, while the phones are ringing, a few reminders. We are still taking turns with the networks and coverage. You know, I think you could do a weekly TV show and call it Monkey Trivia. I mean, there's tons of it. Let me tell you just a little bit of what I've gathered. Did you know, for instance, that they were named the top musical group of 1967 over the Beatles? That their record sales that year topped the Beatles and the Rolling Stones combined? And did you know, and this may just be a rumor, I will ask them, that one of the people who tried out when the group was forming was a chap by the name of Charles Manson? Weird. Are you glad I brought that out, huh? Anyway, I'll tell you, my 6-year-old daughter Jessica and my incredibly young wife Nora argue about everything. What food to eat, what clothes to wear, and on and on. However, on one subject there is no argument at all. They absolutely love the Monkees, and it appears that it's a love affair nationwide and generation-wide once again. So, coming up soon, the Monkees. Let's go to the phones and then we will meet these guys. Hello there, who's this?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, my name's Calvin Boad.
Your name is Calvin?
Yes.
Calvin, how are you today?
Fine.
Where are you calling from?
Clearwater.
How's it there today, okay?
Yeah.
Good deal. Calvin, listen, the question is, we want you to tell us which Monkees top 40 hit had a woman's name as the title.
Valerie.
Valerie. Was it Valerie? How did they do it? Yeah, you're right, it was Valerie. Congratulations, all these wonderful things, and we'll see you at the concert tonight, okay? Okay, a short break, then back with Mickey Dolenz, Davy Jones, and Peter Tork, the Monkees.
Walk down the street, we get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. Hey, we're the Monkees, and people say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing. Now I'm a
This is going to be a tough one, folks, I want to tell you. We are back. It is with great pleasure that we welcome
We think you're quick, and if we'd known that, we wouldn't have come.
Thank you very much. Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, Davy Jones, the Monkees. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you
Is
here.
it? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's cold in here, but
And-
it's good out there.
Well, not only welcome here, but welcome back. I mean, I think it's terrific that you're doing what you're doing. You want to talk about nuclear physics today?
Yeah, sure.
Talk a little bit about this current reunion. How long ago, and how did it all come about that after, what, about 18 years, you decided, hey, let's do it again?
Well, Peter came over with a producer to
Close
England.
up on the kid.
Close on Peter. Peter came over to England with a producer about 18 months ago named David Fishoff from New York, who wanted to put together a nostalgic, reminiscent tour of the Monkees. 11 weeks it was supposed to last.
Yeah.
And 7 months later, we were still on the road.
Still doing it. Now, unlike a lot of groups, and I think, Davey, in an interview, you pointed this out, some groups retire every 15 minutes and then come back with an album and a concert show. You guys were apart, what, almost 20 years?
Yeah, we're planning on doing it every 20 years.
Here we are again, folks. Here we go. Walking down the high, Bill. Oh,
It's nice that... Let me ask you this, then. Over that 18-year period, you kind of went your separate ways, did not stay in touch at all, or just infrequently, that type of thing?
we got a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit. Davey and I went out and did a few things in the 70s, and I bumped into Peter a couple of times, and
Oh,
and then
you
heard
should try it for
stuff.
an experience.
No, but basically, yes, we kept our own individual careers going.
I would imagine it's got to be terrific, no matter how optimistic you were about how this would turn out to be. I'll sell that to you real cheap if you'd like it, to be as well received as you've been. Huh, fellas? What do you
was the
think?
question? I was so
I
concentrated
think
on the
it's,
tie.
obviously we've had lots of great TV coverage over the years, and the radio stations have always played our songs, and it's all been very helpful. I think that they said that the Monkees was
Didn't hurt.
ahead of their time
Yeah.
as far as the TV techniques.
I know I was.
But
Well, they
the
call
way
them
I...
the geniuses now, based on the TV show. The rock videos 20 years before they were supposed to begin and all.
Very
It's always
simple.
dangerous to claim parentage.
Very simple
West Side
for-
Story was a pretty good video.
A very simple format, the Monkees, and there was no sort of parent figure overlooking everything that we did. We were out there trying to be a rock and roll band, trying to make a hit and have a hit record, and that was the theme of the show. And I think 20 years later, kids are looking at it, and it's your basic sort of having a good time, and that's why it hasn't dated, you know?
Now, back to the beginnings, you were actors looking for work.
Well, you mean in the show, or?
Well, when the show was first put together.
Well, this is a bit of a dispute. I approached it as an actor,
Yeah.
playing the part of a drummer. Peter, I know, was told
I had
that he
high
was gonna-
hopes. I had
that
high
he was
hopes.
going to be a group that went on television. Somewhere in the middle, I think the truth.
We were 2 actors and we were 2 musicians, and we ended up as 4 actors and 4 musicians.
But, of course, you had musical backgrounds. You were on the stage in London
Yeah.
doing Oliver, I believe.
Theatre, yeah. I was in New York. I was on Broadway for a couple of years before the Monkees.
And Circus. How long was Circus Boy on the air?
3 years.
It was on for 3 years. Now,
Long time ago.
yeah, well,
For your time.
We're talking now the critics. When we love them.
Oh,
Yeah.
the critic.
They were not awfully kind at first, and they thought they had a real exclusive when they found out you guys were using studio musicians to begin with. But and correct me if I'm wrong, and believe me, I know you will. What happened is you went from that to doing your own music, and almost like osmosis, a rock group formed when you
It's
then
quite
became the
amazing,
Monkees, would you
actually.
say?
It's like if Leonard Nimoy actually became a Vulcan.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. We started out, September the show went on the air. By May or June, we were on the road
Yeah.
playing all the concerts ourselves. It's only 6-7 months.
Yeah.
This is in the 60s we're talking
Yeah,
about.
the
Yes,
60s.
yeah.
66, the show went on the air. By that, the next summer, we were on the road. And just after the tour, we were back in the studio recording all of our own stuff. And that's
Yeah.
fairly phenomenal, actually, when you think about it. For guys that essentially had been introduced one morning
Yeah.
and said, "Hi, you're Mickey. Hi, I'm Mickey. Hi, Peter. Oh, hi, Mike, Davey. I'll be the drummer."
Is it just a rumor, or did you've heard that? Did Charlie Manson audition
I don't
for
think
the
so.
Monkees?
I
That's just
don't
one of those
think
vicious
so.
rumors.
He was
at
one of
least.
There
those
was a lot of-
long-haired people that were around at the time. But
Yeah.
also, just to go back on the Monkees getting back together last year, it was the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
So it was the 20th anniversary tour in which we did, I think, maybe 150 dates last year. We also made a live album that's going to be available right away. It's at the 20th anniversary tour. We have a brand new album that's coming up, and also
Great.
a new single coming out this week called Heart and Soul. So it's a very progressive thing at this time. It's not we're obviously drawing people from the past, people that saw the show the first time around, but they're now coming with their children.
Yeah.
They're coming as a family, which is very suitable for our kind of show. We all travel with our families. It is a family sort of a tour we have.
You are now back in the public eye, and as a result, and you all know it very well, so long privacy. Everybody wants to know about you. We could go on and on. Briefly, what have you been doing over... You were in England, what, as a TV producer?
A director, mostly.
Director.
I did produce too. One tends to do both over there. But yeah, I'm directing and producing.
Is England
for the last-
home for you now?
One tends to speak in the third person as well.
when one stays in England for very long.
Peter, you stayed in the music business as well.
No, I didn't actually. I dropped out I taught school for a few years.
Yeah.
I taught high school. I taught academics, English,
In
mathematics.
New York?
No, on the West Coast.
Yeah.
In the LA area, Santa
Okay.
Monica, Beverly Hills.
Let me ask you something, because I want to get real heavy duty
Please
here,
do.
but you have
Oh, no,
talked,
please,
you have talked
heavy.
openly in interviews about a rocky period in your life with chemical dependence and the
chemical
whole bit.
dependency.
How did you, when did it surface and how did you beat it?
Well, as far as I have reports of my behavior,
Yeah. Oh, it's just...
indicating that I probably was in trouble right from the start. What you call personality changes, which is one of the serious clues.
Yeah.
You get, if people start acting different, then they probably have a problem, or probably have a problem. So I probably had a problem for 20-odd years. I only began to become aware of it for the last, I'd say 3 or 5 years of my, what you call active, practicing addictions, and and how I beat it was with a lot of help and by being willing to ask for help. As long as I thought I could do it on my own, I was in terrible trouble, because it's a disease of I can do it myself, or I have to. The disease says there's no help. Whether it's because I don't deserve it, or whether because I've got such problems that nobody else can understand them, or whether there just doesn't happen to be any help around, the disease says there's no help.
I'd like to interject something here.
Yes.
I think we must clear this up, really, to let you know what Peter's talking about. Peter
What am I talking about?
You're talking about smoking marijuana and drinking beer. He's talking about something that's not something that is blown out of proportion. You can't put all these things into one little area.
Oh, I disagree.
We all
We
used
were
to smoke,
pretty lucky,
yeah,
actually.
we all used to smoke grass in the 60s, and we all used to have a few beers. It's just that Peter used to smoke a little more and drink a little more than the rest of us. We're not talking about shooting heroin or doing heavy drugs at this point, okay? Peter tends to be very hard on himself.
Wait a
which is
minute,
a
wait a
reflection that
minute,
he's
wait a
not
minute,
supposed to be.
wait a second. Hold everything.
Yeah.
Hold everything.
Peter is a member of every meeting that there is going, sort of like, you know, it doesn't matter, he goes.
We were pretty
And
lucky.
all
Wait a
of
minute,
anything,
wait a
we
minute,
figure
wait
that
a
he's
minute,
got a problem.
wait a minute,
He
wait
has
a minute.
very little problem,
Wait a minute,
Peter.
wait a minute. Have I got the floor? Okay. The point of it all is that if I have to rely on the people who've gotten well because their interpretation is what gets me well, and I rely on their interpretation to help me get better. A day at a time. If I don't do that, I have seen what happens to people who think they can do it themselves. The disease is, I can do it myself. It's not about being hard on myself or easy on myself, David. It doesn't have anything to do with that. I am as I need to be in order to get better. If I didn't have what I have to help myself get better, I wouldn't be sitting here. There wouldn't be any reunion, there wouldn't be any show. You'd have a blank program for a half an hour today.
Yeah, well, we do that quite often anyway. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a short break, then we will continue our visit with the Monkees. Thank you very much.
Take the last train to Pottsville and I'll meet you at the station. You can be here by 4:30, 'cause I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh,
All righty, we are back. We want to pass along some information for you. First of all, there is something called the Monkees, not you, the Monkees Fiesta, featuring Mickey Dolenz and David Jones, today at 5 p.m. at the Ramada Inn Countryside. You want to come by and say hi?
Until 5 p.m.
Until 5. Did I say starting at 5?
Well, it's a convention, you know. We have about over, I think, 100 fan clubs around the country.
Yeah.
And once in a while, there's a convention, and they put together, they bring all their memorabilia, and Mickey and I are going to be dropping by today just to say hi, and just see what's going on, and just maybe do a little bit on the stage
Great.
there and talk to them.
Okay, put the other graphic back up, Alex, if you would, because we also want to remind you that two big concerts tonight. The Monkees in concert tonight at 6 p.m. and again at 9:30 at Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater. I believe you can get tickets at the various outlets. They should be ticket outlets, and also at Ruth Eckerd Hall. You have Weird Al Yankovic opening up for you?
Weird Al, yeah.
Tell me the truth. Is he as weird as he seems?
Yes.
He's great. Yeah, serious.
Very weird. He's the Spike Jones of our generation, I reckon.
Yeah, he's so funny. I wanted to ask you before time runs out, and they're gonna hang me if I don't get to the phones real quick. The three of you are here. Mike Nesmith is not.
Ah!
Yeah. What does that, if anything, mean to you?
No.
Is there any ill feelings over the
No.
fact
There's
that
more
Mike...
rolls
nothing
at
at all.
dinner, things like that.
More food, more...
We have...
we got together with Mike last year. He came on the stage at the Greek Theater with us.
Yeah.
And he did the MTV Christmas video with us. And we've tried to, like, get our schedules. He's the head of a major, big production company and executive type. We tried to get our schedules together a bit, but it
Actually,
hasn't
we tried to get major production companies ourselves, but we couldn't do it.
It didn't work out.
Mike, can we have yours?
I don't think that he'll be joining us much in the future. It's really difficult to get the schedules to work.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It does work out both ways. We find that we miss him, and we find that we work without him fairly well.
Yeah.
He's a contrast to us, you know, and in some ways that works well, that there is this difference, and in other ways it works better if we're all together. So it works both ways, and that really is a very long way of saying it doesn't...
But he won't be at the Ruth Eckerd Hall tonight with us because basically, if the truth be known, he just doesn't know the chords.
We finally found out the truth, so that's the bottom of it.
He forgot his wool hat. He can't find that hat. He's looked everywhere for it.
Let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on the air with the Monkees.
Hi.
Hi.
You, David?
It's your turn. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I was wondering if you had any plans for a TV special that might be similar to your old TV show.
Not exactly.
Plans on
We're
that?
going...
Yeah, we hope to film one of our shows, one of our live appearances.
And not similar to our old shows. We do, however, have plans. We are in discussion about making a movie, which would be sort of more like, we figured that the movie would be to the old shows the way the Star Trek movies are to the Star Trek shows, and a TV special about the live concert, but not a TV special like the shows.
But you're not going to call it The Search for Nesmith or anything like that.
No, we're going to actually, we're going to do a, what you call a monkey-mentary.
I get it.
We are planning a big movie, a big feature. Monkees Save the World or something like that.
Back to the phones. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi.
How you doing today?
I'm fine. And you?
Not too bad.
Good.
I was wondering, Davey, have you gone back to England? And, how do you keep an accent for that long? I'm only 25, and I have 4 brothers and sisters, so I grew up with you.
Yeah, I've been living in England for a couple of years. I have a jockey's license. I ride as a jockey over the jumps in England. I have horses that I'm working on, breeding. And not personally, but...
You're not even in discussion?
We're in development. We have a major player to drive the train.
Mind you, there is one little mare I have my eye on, but that is another story. She's down at the beach at...
And they talk to me about me having problems.
Okay, anybody who feels like getting philosophical, raise their hand. Good, I do. I want to ask you a question. The 60s...
That was fast. Wait a minute, I didn't get a chance.
Are such an important time for those of us who lived it, and the Monkees were such an important part of the 60s. Here we are 20 years later, not just the Monkees, but the 60s influence. We talk about it, we remember it, we relate to it.
We do? Why is that?
Yeah, why do you think it is? What the heck was so important about the 60s?
Well, I think, first of all, every generation feels it's important, and it tends to come back generationally. The 50s were
Gotta fight for your right to party!
Every generation tends to come back. The 40s came back, and the 50s came back, and the 60s, and the 70s will come back, the 80s will come back.
Acid will come back.
Yeah.
It'll all come back cyclically. It tends to do that. But I think the 60s was a bit special because there was an incredible moral awakening in this country. And out of the kind of decadence of the 50s and the affluence of the 50s came out a kind of frustration. We have 2 cars in every garage, but we're still not happy. Why? And I think that's essentially what bred the 60s. So it was pretty special.
Yeah.
Because they're jammed in there and we can't get either one of them out.
Yeah, right. Too many cars so they can't drive them because the gas is too expensive.
Time for a quick phone call or two. Good morning, you're on the air with the Monkees.
Yeah, I wanted to know, how did you ever get the name Head for your movie?
I don't know.
Ah, the movie.
The producers came up with it. I don't know where. I guess it had something, again, that was a term in the 60s. It meant somebody was
if you were ahead, you were sort of like really hip and really together.
You know, well, man.
There are also other connotations of which they were not ignorant, I must say. But it was, actually what it was, they were going to make the movie Changes, and then just before we got to the point where it came out, another movie came out called Changes and died.
Yeah.
It's not even a cult favorite, much less, you know, that it should have been a success. But the name had been copped, and there wasn't anything we could do about it.
Yeah, Davey, how does a concert tour 20 years later, in terms of physically, up against what it was like when you were touring 20 years ago? Is it tougher? Do you get tired quicker and that type of stuff?
It's a lot harder. I was much taller when we started.
I read that.
I danced myself down to my knees. Woo. No, it's a case of touring. We're traveling, for instance, tonight. We're on our way after the show at the Ruth Eckhardt Hall. We're off to Fort Lauderdale area. Now, we have to travel overnight because we have a commitment early in the morning tomorrow, radio interview and some other promotional things.
Are you going to be there?
And so
I hope so.
The difficult thing is that it's more, the commuting is the hardest thing. It's not the actual show. We've got that down. We have a show that lasts about an hour and 40 minutes. We do about 36, 38 tunes. It's got loads of costume changes. So really, you've got to be on the ball, and you've got to be really physically fit. You've got to be out there, and we don't do a lot of hard exercise, push up and pump in iron. Yeah. But you do have to treat your body a little more careful these days, you know, so because of the age factor.
Mickey, Peter, and David, thank you.
What? It's over? That's it? That's all we get?
We'll be back to say goodbye after a short break.